Hey, welcome. I'm your producer Nicholas here, and welcome to our Champions League review. We have Raphael Reich here, our European football expert. Thank you for coming in.
Hi Nick.
A lot of stuff happened last night. Arsenal and Chelsea both lost. Barcelona sneaking past Bayer Leverkusen, and Bayern Munich were dominant. So let's start with Chelsea. Chelsea's got a bit of a leaky defense this season. It's very un-Mourinho-like, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. The defense this season is leaking all over the place. We haven't really found the first choice centre-back pairing yet. The last couple of matches we saw Kurt Zuma play with Gary Cahill, which obviously means that Captain John Terry's out of the first team. It worked well for a couple of games, but especially the weekend game against Newcastle and against Porto, again, the organisation wasn't there. In the match yesterday against Porto, we saw Chelsea concede 2 goals from set pieces, which could have been very easily avoided. Mourinho pointed out in the post-match press conference that he was very disappointed by that. So it's uncharacteristic defensive errors, a lot of goals conceded already, and Chelsea quickly have to turn that around, Nick.
Yeah, so 3 losses in the league already, a setback now in Europe. Is Chelsea's season in crisis?
Well, crisis. I wouldn't call it a crisis based on yesterday's result, Nick, because a lot of Chelsea fans, or more realistic Chelsea fans, probably wouldn't have expected a Chelsea win in yesterday's game, just because Porto are a force in European football. Let's not forget they actually defeated Bayern Munich in the knockout stages 3-1, I believe it was. So they beat them convincingly last year in the Champions League as well. They lost a tie over both legs, but that's a different story. So it's no shame to lose 2-1 away from home against Porto, I think. But saying that, the performance overall wasn't great. Chelsea does have problems all over the pitch, really. I wouldn't say it's a crisis just yet, but we really have to step up against Southampton on the weekend.
So you're still tipping, despite this loss, you're still tipping Chelsea to get through to the knockout stages?
Looking at the group, I would expect it, but it really depends on the next 2 fixtures, which Chelsea will play against Dynamo Kiev, who have started really well. So I think the win against Maccabi in the opening day was good. Dynamo Kiev are a formidable side as well, and it really depends on those 2 fixtures. If Chelsea can come through on top against them, then I think Chelsea and Porto will most likely go through in that group.
All right, so let's move on to something a little bit more tasty. Arsenal, they lose in Europe again, a 3-2 defeat to Olympiakos. Ospina scoring a very bizarre own goal. The question is here, if you've got Petr Cech on your books, why would you bench him and play Ospina?
That's a good question. I think Arsenal have done that previously because they've kept Ospina, who's an international goalkeeper, let's not forget. So they probably assured him of some playing time, and I think they thought they'll give him some matches in the League Cup and in the group stages of the Champions League. But you're right when you say that you should field your strongest squad, shouldn't you? And I've got a feeling that maybe Wenger underestimated Olympiakos to a certain extent there, because Looking at the game, Ospina was definitely at fault for that second goal, as you said. It was a sharp corner that would have probably went in. Ospina could have punched it away or tipped it over the bar, but I think he decided to try and catch it. Then he just fumbled it over his own line, so that was a mistake. Definitely to blame for that, but for the other 2 Olympiakos goals, he couldn't really do much about that. So it's not that Arsenal lost because of Ospina. It was a poor performance all around by Arsenal, by the defence as well.
Yeah, so 2 losses now in the Champions League for the Gunners. Is it curtains for Arsenal in Europe?
Well, I think there's a real possibility of Arsenal not progressing to knockout stages, because let's look at their 2 next fixtures. Nick, they're playing Bayern Munich home and away. Those are the 2 next games for Arsenal, and it's make or break. And looking at Bayern Munich's form currently, I wouldn't really expect Arsenal to get too many points against them. So if they lose both games against Bayern, they can get a maximum of 6 points, and that's if they even win their last 2 games, which traditionally is not enough to progress. So I think Arsenal are in real danger of getting knocked out.
All right, so we're talking about Bayern Munich, 5-0 winners over Dinamo Zagreb. Robert Lewandowski, a hat-trick, 10 goals in 3 games. Kingsley Coman and Douglas Costa already look like they've usurped Ian Robben and Frank Ribery's positions. Problem is, who's going to stop them?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, they're the informed team currently, aren't they, Bayern Munich? And it's Lewandowski. It's his stats are brilliant. Like you said, those 5 goals he scored against Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga, and he topped it up with yet another hat-trick. And I think you've mentioned something important. They do have players like Ribery and Robben, but they have squad depth now, and new rivals like Arturo Vidal didn't even play yesterday because he has a minor injury, but he should be back on the weekend in the Bundesliga. But then players like Douglas Costa, who's impressed instantly. If you look at this, Nick, he played 10 games overall this season already in the Bundesliga, German Cup, and 2 in the Champions League. He's got 2 goals, but more importantly, 11 assists in 10 games.
Crazy,
Can you imagine
crazy.
that? Same as Coman. I mean, he came in as a rotation player at best, but he's already scored 2 goals and has 4 assists in 5 appearances. So Bayern have made very good signings, and I mean, if you look at them last year, they were already a world-class, formidable outfit, but I think they've just added and they've improved even more. So scary team Bayern Munich.
So they're going to beat Arsenal over the next 2 games.
On current form, I would expect it, yes, Nick.
Alright, so we talk about Barcelona now. A 2-1 comeback victory over Bayer Leverkusen. Looking very distinctly average without the injured Lionel Messi. He's out until, I believe, the end of November. And they're in a tough group. Roma is still waiting in the wings. Is it possible that they could exit the Champions League in this group stages?
It is an interesting group, actually. I don't really see one team pulling away as the leaders and progressing before the last 2 match days, actually. So Barcelona would have been expected to easily come out of this group, I guess, when you look at it. But like you said, they have struggled a little bit. Don't get me wrong, Leverkusen are a proven decent European side, so they're no pushovers. But yeah, Barcelona did struggle. Messi's 2-month absence, like you said, is going to be a worry for them. But I still believe that they have the squad, and they have Neymar and Suarez still who can probably cover for that. So I do believe Barcelona will go through, but it will be tight. And interestingly, Bate Borisov beat Roma 3-2 yesterday as well, Nick. So it's a very open group, but I do expect Barcelona to still go through.
So yeah, so a lot of other games. So these are just some of the games that we've brought up, but there were a lot of other games. What else caught your eye last night?
Well, yeah, so that group, let's start with this. Bate Borisov beating Roma, which means Barcelona are still the leaders with 4 points in Group E, but Bayer Leverkusen and Bate have 3 points each. Roma have 1 point, so I think after the place, I still expect Barcelona to go for in first place, but second spot, the other spot in the knockout stages from that group is still very much up for grabs between those 3 teams. Another thing that really caught my eye, we were talking about Chelsea struggles earlier, but I believe Porto are a very, very good side, and I do expect them to go through and actually go quite far in the knockout stages as well. They have such a good squad. I think yesterday's game against Chelsea, what really caught my eye was their overall depth and just how good Yassine Ibrahimi was. He was such a good player, and to me, his dribbling, his ability to just goes past several defenders and makes it look so easy. For me, I would go as far as saying he's the second best dribbler in the world, just behind Lionel Messi. That's how good he is. Their midfield as well, they have Janelli Imbula, who they've signed from Marseille in the summer, who was excellent as well. Ruben Neves, the 18-year-old Portuguese kid, and then Andre, who scored a goal against Chelsea. So their midfield was solid. Abubakar, who looks like a very good replacement for Jackson Martinez, was very good up front as well with his direct running. So Porto seem like a very good side. I think they might go far.
Alright, so we're only about 2 games. We've got 2 games into the Champions League, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm going to ask you, who is going to be in the Champions League final this season, and who is going to win it?
That's a tough question, but as we've said earlier, just on current form, it's very, very hard to look past Bayern Munich at the moment. So I think if they continue playing this way throughout the rest of the campaign, I can really see them making it all the way to the Champions League final and potentially winning it as well. So if I were a betting man and I had to put money on a team, I would put that on Bayern Munich currently. Who could they face? I still think Barcelona, as the current champions, will go far. Real Madrid, of course, can't ever be ruled out. I see Porto as a dark horse, as I said earlier, and I still have hopes from the English clubs. I still think Chelsea are probably the only one who could go far if they manage to shut up shop at the back and get their house back in order. I still think Chelsea could be a threat as well in the Champions League. But if I'd have to say a final, I would probably say Barcelona, Bayern Munich right now, with Bayern winning it.
Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Well, you heard it here first on Red Card Sports Radio. Barcelona and Bayern Munich in the final. Bayern Munich to win it by a landslide, or will it be close?
It would be close. It would be close. So might even go all the way to extra time and penalties. But who knows? We might even have a Dinamo Kiev against Dinamo Zagreb final. So that's the beauty about football. We never know.
All right. Thank you, Raphael, for taking time out for this Champions League review. I hope you enjoyed it. Did you agree with it? Did you not agree with it? Tell us. And for all of this and more, download our Red Card Live app on your Android and your Apple devices. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.